What's going on, everyone? I'm back, baby. Zach Lavine. Back in the Zach Lavine game. I love it. I know. Take it in. All of us, take it in for a moment, right? It's funny. I still get comments from people like randomly here and there that are like, I'm so glad you stopped talking about Zach Lavine. Well, guess what? We're back. We're back in action. But in all seriousness, right, Zach Lavine actually could potentially be in play. I think it's not super likely. I think DeMar DeRozan is more likely, and I'll touch on that here in a moment. I did a whole video on DeMar DeRozan, so you might have already seen that video, so you might know what I'm talking about. But Zach Lavine, look, he made a ton of sense, and the reason I was so big on Zach Lavine was when we had LeBron James and Anthony Davis. When we had those two, we didn't have that bucket getter that could shoot over the top and go get you 30, and just be a guy that could play on ball, off ball, all that stuff, right? Zach Lavine made more sense, even with his price tag, for, LeBron and Anthony Davis. When the Lakers got Luka, it didn't make as much sense anymore. Like, yes, Zach Lavine would still be great, right? He can still play off ball. He can still knock down the three ball. He can still be, he's a better offensive player than Austin Reeves is. But, it doesn't make as much sense, especially at $5 million or $50 million, right? Like, you're not doing it at that price, right? So now Zach Lavine doesn't make much sense. However, if he gets bought out and waived, he makes a world of sense. Sign me up for Zach Lavine. I would be running to the door to go get Zach Lavine. I'm having Luka, LeBron, Magic, Kareem, everybody calling Zach Lavine, dude, let's go. Let's go win a championship, right? Because at a vet minimum, because remember, you already used your biannual. At a vet minimum would be ridiculous. But, Tyler, why in the world would Sacramento buy out Zach Lavine when they just traded for him? Well, let me enlighten you. Let me tell you. So, Sacramento is currently trying to trade for Jonathan Kuminga. They want to land Kuminga, but in order to land Kuminga, they're going to have to shed salary, right? So, Sacramento is hard kept at the first apron because of the Dennis Schroeder sign and trade. So, the Sacramento Kings, if they go land Jonathan Kuminga, they are going, because they don't want to trade Keon Ellis. They don't want to trade Keegan Murray. And the Golden State Warriors do not want Malik Monk. So either A, they have to pull off a trade to get a team to just absorb somebody, which no one's going to absorb Zach Lavine. No one's going to absorb, DeMar DeRozan. Maybe a percentage of Malik Monk, right? If they need to clear $10 million, maybe a team would be like, hey, we'll take $10 million of, Monk's contract, maybe. But kind of go down the list here on how can the Sacramento Kings end up pulling this off? And the only way to do it would be to buy out and waive somebody, which really boils down to DeMar DeRozan or a Zach Lavine. Now, I do, and I want to be clear, I think DeMar DeRozan is much more likely, right? I want to be very clear about that. DeMar is probably the one that they end up buying out, waive, and stretching for several reasons, right? One, he's making half the price. Two, DeMar DeRozan has kind of these non-guaranteed stipulations based on certain things and stuff. So they might be able to get him at a cheaper rate. And then three, he's also with his age and whatnot, probably makes less sense or makes more sense to waive him over Zach Lavine, who's 5 years younger, right? Zach Lavine is better overall, right? So they would have something like a Schroeder, Keon Ellis, Zach Lavine, Jonathan Kuminga, and then a Domantas Sabonis would basically be their 5-man unit, right? That's kind of how they look like. Also, even if they were to keep DeMar and try to figure out another path, let's say, like I said, maybe a Malik Monk ends up getting, maybe they buy out Malik Monk instead because it's just the cheapest route, right? Even then, is DeMar DeRozan going to be okay coming off the bench? Probably not. DeMar DeRozan at this stage of his career, especially for Sacramento. Maybe he'd do it for a team like the Lakers because he gets to be at home, gets to play for a championship, right? There's things that kind of make sense and line up. But for a team like Sacramento where it's okay, we're playing to be a play-in team, I'm not coming off the bench at this stage of my career for that, right? Buy me out, let me get a bag, and then I can go sign elsewhere, with a team like the Lakers. So I believe DeMar DeRozan is most likely to be the candidate to be bought out. However, could be possible that Zach Lavine even asks for it and maybe takes a discount or whatever. And depending on how this roster shapes up, stuff like that, maybe Zach Lavine's the guy that's hey, I'll raise my hand. I want to be bought out. I'll take $20 million less if you buy me out, right? Maybe he'd be willing to do that to go to a team like the Lakers and play for a championship with the Lakers. If there is any shot for the Lakers to land Zach Lavine off of a buyout, I don't care what the Lakers have to do. You do it. If Zach Lavine wants a yacht, in the Pacific, you do it. Here you go, guy. Right? Like, because Zach Lavine, healthy Zach Lavine, Lakers, I think, win the NBA championship. Right? Because, one, if I'm being honest, I think you have to trade Austin Reeves. Like, point blank. Trade Austin Reeves. You're going to have Zach Lavine, who is, again, a better offensive, like natural scorer and offensive player than Austin Reeves. Now, you can argue Austin Reeves is all around better. Sure. If you want to do that, fine. But Zach Lavine is a better defensive player, and he's a better off-ball shooter and scorer. He's actually one of the best catch-and-shoot three-point shooters in all of basketball. I think Zach Lavine is better than Austin Reeves. That's just me. Austin Reeves is a better playmaker. Like, there are things that Austin Reeves does better. But if you're talking about just pure bucket getter, pure scorer, Zach Lavine is better. He's more athletic, right? Could you imagine Zach Lavine slotted alongside Luka Doncic? Him being a slasher and cutter and lob threat and off-ball catch-and-shoot three-point shooter? Stop. Like, you know how good the Lakers would be with that? Sign me up for that. Again, it doesn't make sense for the Lakers to go and trade for a Zach Lavine at this point. But if you can get him for basically free, I don't care what you have to. I will go personally to Sacramento and put Zach Lavine on my back and let's go. Right? I'll piggyback ride Zach Lavine all the way to crypto. Right? Whatever I got to do. Because, again, he's a better off-ball movement shooter. He's a better off-ball player, period, than Austin Reeves. Right? And he's just a better natural scorer. He's more athletic. He's more explosive. He applies better rim pressure. He's better at shooting over the top. Right? He's a guy that would solve a lot of the Lakers' problems. DeMar DeRozan I talked about, I don't want him as a starter. I did talk about how, if you were to trade for Austin Reeves, kind of makes more sense because of that. But I don't want to, I don't want to trade Austin Reeves and then move DeMar into the starting unit. I don't want that to happen, right? It just kind of gives you the luxury if need be. However, I would trade Austin Reeves and bring in Zach Lavine into the starting unit because, again, he's more athletic, gives you better defense, gives you better shooting, gives you all the things that I've talked about, right? And he's so much cheaper. And now you could turn Austin Reeves into a legit 3-and-D wing. Like, can you turn Austin Reeves into a legit two-way starting level 3? Right? Could you imagine something like Luka Doncic, right? Let's say Luka, Zach Lavine, Herb Jones, LeBron James, and DeAndre Ayton? Stop. Give the Lakers the NBA championship right now. Knock it off. It's a wrap. Just everyone else pack it in. And then you still have, or if you're not trading Austin Reeves, he is for sure coming off the bench. For sure, if I'm the Lakers. Problem is, I don't know if the Lakers would do that. But, we were all interested in Bradley Beal, right? Zach Lavine is better at the things that the Lakers need than even Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal is a better off-ball shooter than Austin Reeves and the other guards we have. Zach Lavine is better than that. Zach Lavine has also shown and proven that he can play off-ball better than a Bradley Beal and stuff like that. Talk about a guy that literally still, with 4 other scorers on the team, still was able to give 23 a night. He's a guy that I think easily gives you, 18 to 20 plus on a nightly basis on better efficiency, on excellent efficiency, right? And so if you can get a Zach Lavine, I would absolutely get Zach Lavine because you'd be getting him so cheap, right? Even if you want to keep Austin Reeves, you get Zach Lavine and you figure it out, right? Whatever you got to do, you figure it out. But I want to kind of go over the stats real quick on Zach Lavine, kind of give people an idea, right? So overall, right, between both Chicago and Sacramento, 74 games played, 74 games started, which he showed he could be healthy, right? That was the big question with Zach Lavine. Played 74 games, right? 35.2 minutes per game, which is a ton of minutes. I don't think he plays that with the Lakers, but 35.2 minutes per game. He actually played nearly 37 minutes a game for Sacramento. It's crazy. 16 and a half field goal attempts, 51.1% from the floor. He on 7.2 attempts from 3-point range, right? Shot 44.6%. Let me say that one more time. So On 7.2 3-point attempts, he shot 44.6%. He's a career 39% three-point shooter on 6 attempts. So that wasn't an outlier. Just so people know, in Chicago, on 7.3 attempts, he shot 44.6%. Then he got traded to Sacramento. On 7.2 attempts, he shot 44.6%. Last year, period, on either team, without a Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves, which, again, I'd probably trade Austin Reeves, but without a Luka and LeBron, Zach Lavine shot 44.6%, almost 45% from three-point range on 7.2 attempts. Go get Zach Lavine. Again, I think it's unlikely, but still. 56.4% from two-point range. EFG of 61%. From free throw line, 82.5% on 4 attempts. Grabbed 4.3 rebounds, 4.2 assists, a steal, half a block, and 23.3 points per game. Go get Zach Lavine if he gets bought out. Again, that's a big if. Maybe he doesn't, but go get him if he does. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Else not, we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thanks.